Describe a musical genius. A musical genius is an exceptional creative mind that possesses a deep connection to sound. They stand out for their ability to innovate, transform sonic language, and evoke intense emotions that endure through time.
Aún me queda aprender.
Welcome to the Trembol podcast, the place for music stories that move you. There are places that seem destined to produce noise instead of music. Sant Esteve Sesrovires is a Catalan town of 8,000 residents, an industrial area surrounded by factories and the constant echo of trucks passing on the highway. Very far from Cantejondo, very far from flamenco. On September 25, 1992, something broke in the natural order of things. That day, Rosalía was born, the artist who would bring Spain and flamenco back to the center of the global music scene. I am from Sant Esteve Sesrovires, a town, well, in my family, nobody listened to flamenco. It was with friends at 13, leaving school, we'd put on music and Cameron would play. Iron baby bottle and motorcycles. Rosamia's childhood smells of iron, of the countryside, and of a lot of love. Pilar and Jose Manuel, her parents, worked in a metal plate factory belonging to her mother's family. I have felt connected to music my whole life. Since I was very little, I have no memories that weren't singing or dancing, but there is no one in my family who did this for a living. Can you guess what her parents' company was called?
Motomami, 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 Motomami.
Over the years, Rosalia would found her own company, Motomami SL, run by her family, with which she manages all her contracts and finances. She grew up watching strong women who managed, women who were in charge.
Mi madre y mi hermana son como pilares, ¿no? Para mí. Están ahí siempre como un faro. Son mujeres muy fuertes que me inspiran.
Her older sister, whom she nicknames La Dekiri, and she would go around town with flower belts and rubber boots. Both were happy amidst the concrete.
Pues es mi mejor amiga. O sea, es la mejor amiga que me ha dado la vida. Ya está, sin más. Y ahí estoy para todo lo que necesite y ella también me da un montón de oportunidades. Siento que somos como un buen tándem.
Pili has worked her whole life as Rosalia's stylist and artistic designer. She is her best friend and her life partner. It is something that without my Pili, well, I would die. She is my best friend. Music was not a choice for Rosalia. It was an ambush. At 7 years old, at one of those family meals where the wine and the after-dinner conversation drag on, the incident that is now a legend occurred. Her father asked her to sing. The little girl climbed onto a chair, closed her eyes, and let out a voice that did not belong to such a small body. The first time was during a meal with my father's family, and my father kept telling me, "Sing, sing, sing." I did not want to. I remember I sang with my eyes closed because I was very embarrassed, and the whole family started to cry. So at that moment, it shocked me because I said, why? I mean, why did they cry?
Quiero que me bese, que nadie se entere lo que nos amamos.
At just 8 years old, Rosalia started riding motorcycles. Her parents, both bikers, taught her. The iconography and sounds related to motorcycles would become a constant in her career. Look at how Rosalia replaces flamenco handclaps with the sampled sound of revving motorcycles in her track, the Aquí no sales from the album El Mal Querer. Discovered Camarón de la Isla in a musical duel between two tuned-up cars from which the unique voice of the flamenco genius emerged. It was a true epiphany. She knew right away she had to learn to sing it. At 13? I remember I was already starting to go out in the evenings. My friends were older than me, they had cars, so they had them with good speakers. They were children of Andalusian immigrants. Many were my friends and we listened to a lot of flamenco. Thanks to them, I discovered Camarón. During her childhood, Rosalia attended the Sistans Academy, where she took dance lessons. Well, you see, my mother worked a lot. My mother didn't have time to be with me, so they would take me to study dance. From 5 to 10 years old, more or less. At 9 years old, she began taking guitar lessons with Israel Liria. At 13, she joined the Antonio Cañadas Flamenco Club, and at 16, she started piano lessons. Her first public performance was in 2007, at 14 years old. It was at her town's sports center. The second time, 2 years later, at the Flamenco Cultural Entity Festival in Sant Esteve. Back then, Rosalía danced more than she sang.
Siempre he bailado, en realidad siempre he bailado desde que era pequeña y también bailar es una de mis formas favoritas de despreocuparme y de estar feliz.
Soy como nunca. Estoy acabando, de nuevo empezando, la vida otra vez.
You are not good enough. How was a small-town girl with no knowledge or contacts in the music industry going to get noticed? Rosalía thought, like everyone else, of television. At 15, she auditioned for the contest Tu Sí que Vales. I am 15 years old, I am from Barcelona, and I am in my 4th year of secondary school. She was eager to take on the world, but she didn't have the tools yet. They told her she didn't enunciate, that she had potential, but that she wasn't right for that format. Her first contact with the music industry was a major scolding. Rosalía, you were quite out of tune. I can do it all. I've tried acting, singing, and dancing. That rejection was the fuel to study, and study she did. Rosalía finished secondary school in 2010, enrolling at the Taller de Musics, a music school in the Rauw. She would spend 4 years there. At the same time, she worked as a freelance singer at weddings and music bars. She earned little more than 80 euros, and sometimes not even that. During the time, she met many underground Spanish artists who would later succeed, like La Zoe or Young Beef. I did many performances from a very young age to earn a living. In Barcelona, in the worst venues you could imagine. That's where I went. I would beg them to please let me play, to just let me. No, it wasn't easy to fill the venues, or I played just to get dinner. During all those years, I learned so much, and it gave me a lot of humility, I understood the musician's craft. In 2012, she became the lead singer of Que Jaleo, a flamenco music group with which she would release an album called Al Aire. 2 years later, in 2014, she enrolled at ESMA, the Higher School of Music of Catalonia. There she met the man who would change her technique, Chiqui de la Línea, a master of flamenco studies who only accepted 1 student per year, Chiqui de la Línea, who has been my great master of flamenco singing. He said to me, "Why don't you pursue the degree?" So I felt encouraged. I wanted to be near him. I wanted him to teach me. Chiqui was tough, very tough. He would tell me, "Rosalía, flamenco is a military discipline. If you aren't willing to die for a note, go do pop." For years, her life was the 6 in the morning train, scores of ancient songs, and the study of 18th century structures. She became so obsessed with throat technique that she almost lost everything. Flamenco is so vast that you cannot cover it in one lifetime. The classics are so important, at least to me, right? You have to know what has been done to be able to try and make a proposal. The diagnosis was devastating. Nodules on the vocal cords, excessive effort, passion without control had destroyed her instrument, her voice. At only 17 years old, Rosalía faced an operating table and the real possibility of never singing again. She spent an entire year in absolute silence. Can you imagine a 17-year-old girl who lives only to sing, communicating with a whiteboard? She dedicated herself to listening to Cameron, but also James Blake, Kanye West, and the electronic music they played in Barcelona clubs. Her mind started making strange connections. She mixed tradition with the most innovative sounds. The silence Rosalía lived through that year is what allows LUX to sound the way it does today. These were years of hard work in which she took part in numerous shows, like the one by La Fura del Spouse in Singapore in 2015. She would also be the opening act for flamenco artist Miguel Poveda, and sang the single Last Night Was Eternal for a campaign by the clothing brand Desigual. Shortly after, she would self-release A Million Times, a track for the charity album 3 Guitars for Autism. At 20 years old, she was already working as a flamenco teacher and vocal coach. First boyfriend, first success, first heartbreak. In 2016, the Spanish rapper C. Tangana was captivated by Rosalia after seeing her perform. He would invite her to sing a track with him for the famous Netflix series Elite. Antes de Morirme was an international hit.
Antes de que muera yo. Antes de morirme. Antes de que muera yo.
Meanwhile, Rosalia and C. Tangana began a relationship. Rosalia in 3 words.
Diva 3 times, yes. Well, the collaboration with Rosalia, since up until then she hadn't done anything mainstream or pop, and I trusted her talent so much. I knew that well, it's been seen, right? History has told us so.
Rosalia and the Madrilenian, as Tangana calls himself, would co-write 8 of the 11 songs on the Catalan singer's second album, Mal Querer, although they would also end their relationship in May of 2018. At one of Rosalia's performances in 2016 at the Tablao del Carmen, a venue specializing in flamenco in Barcelona, the guitarist Rauw Alejandro was in attendance. They connected right away and started working together for the following years.
Yo contigo.
November 17th, 2017. Rosalia takes the stage in Las Vegas for the Person of the Year Gala dedicated to Alejandro Sanz, an unknown in front of the entire industry. Before releasing her first album, Rosalia asked Alejandro for advice on what she said would be an international hit. Alejandro Sanz only told her to choose a good lawyer.
Counselor! Counselor!
The next thing, a collaboration with J Balvin, Brillo. It was a master move to get noticed while releasing her debut album. Composed with Rauw Alejandro, Los Angeles would be released in 2017. Well, with Los Angeles, I felt I had studied many songs, and I wanted to make an album that reflected a bit. Well, yes, the material I had studied, but I also wanted to do it my way. And I had just met Refri, and we understood each other a lot when it came to making music. Los Angeles is an album of reworkings of flamenco classics with a single theme: death. Rosalia does not hold back. She speaks in the darkest way she can, always accompanied by aggressive guitar chords played by Rauw Alejandro.
Para mí, hay penas que solo se pueden explicar cantando.
For me, there are sorrows that can only be explained by singing.
Creo que este disco es muy triste.
I think this album is very sad.
Es muy triste.
It is very
Y
sad.
normalmente yo siempre río, ¿sabes?
And normally I am always laughing,
No, yo como fuera
Like, no,
de
I
mi
mean outside of my artistic
vida
life,
artística,
I am
siempre estoy
always
riendo.
laughing. The album spawned 2 singles. The first, Catalina, where Rosalia tells the story of an impossible love that leaves death as the only way out for its protagonist to be freed from the pain. The second single, De Plata, is a metaphor for the purity, the value, and the immensity of a love for someone who is no longer here. Rosalia would be nominated for Best New Artist at the Latin Grammys that year. She did not win, but that would only be a premonition of the 16 Grammys she would win in the following years.
El Latin Grammy es para Rosalía.
En serio, estoy en shock. Esto es lo último que me esperaba, os lo juro por Dios.
But not everything was beautiful. Some flamenco circles accused Rosalia of cultural appropriation. They said she could not use flamenco because she was neither gypsy nor Andalusian. Rosalia was very hurt because her respect for flamenco culture was absolute. The debate, in any case, was spurious. Time proved Rosalia right. Even Camarón himself used to say it. Why do you mix all those instruments, Camarón?
Well, I mix those instruments because I believe I already carry pure flamenco inside me.
Attention, fun fact. Did you know that in 2017, Spanish radio and television contacted Rosalia to offer her a spot in the Eurovision pre-selection? She politely declined due to scheduling conflicts.
No.
Between 2017 and 2018, Rosalia and Rauw Alejandro embarked on the Los Angeles tour. The famous Colombian singer Juanes attended one of them. He was so captivated by the Catalan artist that he asked his manager, Rebecca Leon, to work with her. Rebecca said, "She's the kind of artist that comes along once every 50 years.
This is Rosalia, the one and only unicorn Rosalia. She's the most incredible artist on the planet."
Rosalia moved to the United States, specifically to Miami. She wanted to understand how the sound that dominated the world was made. Mal Querer, a new language. The same day Rosalia finished recording Los Angeles, she was already thinking about her next project. She wanted to make a concept album, a final degree project that would become a manifesto. I was there, just finishing my degree, yes. And I said, I have to do a project. And I thought, well, I'm not just going to do anything. So I started preparing there. So I did everything that would be the conceptualization. I thought there has to be a way to create a more personal language in that sense. It is more of an album that had a more experimental weight. Rosalia had done it. She had laid the foundations for what would be a career based on innovation and recognition. She showed that she mastered the roots of flamenco, and now she was going to start breaking them apart. Mal Querer, released in 2018, is a concept album. It tells the story of a male and a female character in 11 chapters. Mal Querer, well, it is a project with several branches, right? On one hand, there's the album, on the other, the live show, and then there are the visuals, right? And the videos. It revolves around that story of a love with rough edges. It is based on a story, a 14th century novel by an anonymous author called Flamenco. It tells the story of a woman who marries a man, and out of jealousy, this man ends up imprisoning her. From that place, it helped me to develop all the chapters, and I saw it so clearly, right? That it had to sound like that. I wanted it to be voice-centered, with the voice to be in the center, for there to be many vocal harmonies, for there to be that inspiration in African music and Gregorian chant. And in the end, I think it's a work with flamenco inspiration. The album was recorded entirely in El Guincho's apartment in Barcelona, with just a computer, a microphone, and a mixing console. Rosalia wanted it to sound current. She wanted motorcycle engines to be the rhythmic clapping. She wanted to mix traditional flamenco with current pop and urban music.
Pablo es muy amigo mío. Para mí él es uno de los mejores productores de aquí de España.
No tenía ni idea, ¿sabes? Yo de flamenco, vamos. Y fue Rosalía explicándome todo el inabarcable mundo del flamenco, que es una locura, y enseñándome, pero lo básico, a contar. Y a mí ya me suena a pop de repente, pero porque ya llevo, yo qué sé, 1 año y medio trabajando con ella, entonces ya he incorporado eso, pero Rosalía tiene como es de ese tipo de artista que, voy a usar a este tío en este proyecto para construir una cosa que yo tengo en la cabeza y que sé que juntándome con esta persona la voy a sacar. Y creo que en este disco están como reflejadas más cosas, más partes tuyas, ¿sabes? Otros tipos de sonidos más duros. Rosalía siempre me dice más duro, menos blando, más fuerte, más duro, más sucio, más físico. Pues. Y en el fondo el Mal Querer es como el sonido de Rosalía.
Yo tengo unas inquietudes que no quiero limitar ni coartar y a partir de ahí hago lo que me apetece.
Although it might seem otherwise, Rosalia had not yet signed with any record label, so she had no budget to produce the album. She had to invest her own money to the point of almost going broke.
Creo que es muy importante reivindicar a las mujeres que producen. Dentro del proyecto compongo y produzco. Es muy importante para mí que las cosas suenen a aquello que tengo en la cabeza.
It all started with inspired by the copla, Malamente is an omen. If that moment when you know you're going to suffer in a relationship, but you can't help but get involved. The tra wasn't planned. It was an ad-lib that stayed in the final recording because it gave Malamente the rhythm it was missing. Tra is an expression that in the tablaos, when I was working with other colleagues who do flamenco, the dancers would often cheer like that. And that's where I learned it. And that's why it came to me to write it in Malamente. Rosalia didn't have the money to shoot the video she had imagined either, but Rebecca, her music manager, came to the rescue. She would negotiate with YouTube for funding to make the Malamente video. Directed by Canada, the music video showed a suburban Spain with trucks and skateboarders dressed as penitents. Visually, it was an atomic bomb. Dua Lipa, music critics. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know who the girl with the infinite gel nails was. Even Madonna asked her to perform at her 60th birthday party, although in the end, it could not be. 2 weeks later, she was performing at the Sonar Festival in Barcelona. The president of the Sony record label sees her perform. He cannot believe it. He sends it to everyone at Sony, having the record label at her feet. They had discovered the most important cultural product of this century. As a second single came Pienso en tu mirar, whose video also went viral for its aesthetic and poetic symbolism, trucks and religion. Well, I think this imagery is very present for all of us, right? And I've been surprised by the trucks that pass by there, where I live, right? Because I live in the Baix Llobregat. I live in a town that is surrounded by industrial estates. So that has always been present there. And at the same time, for example, I remember when my grandmother took me to mass. All those things make up my imagery. Rosalia phenomenon was born. De Mi Nombre would be her first single to reach #1 on the Spanish charts. The album would be received with universal acclaim. Rolling Stone included it at number 315 on its list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, making it the highest-ranked Spanish-language album on the list. It would also win 5 Latin Grammys and 1 international Grammy. In early 2019, Rosalia participated in the Goya Awards, singing a version of the song Me Quedo Contigo by Los Chunguitos. In 2019, Pedro Almodovar invited Rosalia to participate in his film Pain and Glory. I would like to be a man to bathe in the river naked. But this was not the first time Rosalia had participated in an audiovisual production. She had already provided the soundtrack for Arde Madrid and Paquita Salas. The strategy becoming a global symbol. In 2019, Rosalia embarked on her first world concert tour, the Mal Querer tour. She already had the respect of the music industry. She had the prestige, she had the admiration of music lovers hungry for innovation, but she still lacked mainstream status, being on playlists all over the world. That is why, in the middle of the tour, Rosalia released Con Altura with J Balvin.
Esto para que quede lo que yo hago dura, con altura. Había un programa de República Dominicana que salía un hombre diciendo esto vamos a arrancarlo con altura. A partir de ese sample empezamos a construir todo.
The music video was the most watched by a female artist in 2019. The choreography went viral, part of Latin pop culture. It would be on this trap that she would use for the first time the nickname by which everyone calls her now. Far from settling down and basking in her success, Rosalia prepares a two-pronged strategy, reinforcing her position as the #1 in Latin music, with collaborations with the reggaeton bosses. First, it would be Ozuna, Yo por ti, tú por mí. Later, the remix of the song Relacion with the creme de la creme of the genre, Sech, Daddy Yankee, J Balvin, and Farruko. She had the Latin side covered, now it was time for the American one. For that, she would team up with Lil Baby, doing a remix of the rap song of the year, Highest in the Room, by Travis Scott. She would later work with Travis Scott again on DKN, her first entry on the Billboard Hot 100. Rosalia would seal her American arrival with this incredible performance at Rihanna Savage by Fenty Show. With the mainstream at her feet, Rosalia decides to keep fueling the foundations of her career: surprise, fusion, and diversity. To do so, she first releases Haute Couture, her third #1 in Spain.
Haute Couture, la inspiración que hay detrás es de poderío. Esto está encendido, na, 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 na. 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 Esto está encendido, it means this is on fire. Es como, ¿no? Esta expresión de cómo está encendido, está activo, estamos activos, estamos activados.
Next, an EP with 2 tracks called Fucking Money Man, including a song in Catalan, Millonario, and another, very Madamente style, Dios nos libre del dinero. Not content with this, she treats herself to a little pleasure, collaborating with one of her lifelong idols, the British artist James Blake. She would invite him to provide backing vocals for her new track, Apale. Apale, well, it's an expression I kind of pulled out of thin air, so to speak, because I was thinking, how do I explain the feeling of doing something big? So I thought immediately, in my mind came the image of pallets. So I wrote it as Apale. Later on, they would release a song together, Barefoot in the Park. In 2019, Rosalia had a 5-month romance with actress Hunter Schafer. Both maintain a close friendship today. Rosalia would dedicate the song Tuya to her. Rosalia's performance of Juroque at the 62nd edition of the Grammy Awards marked the first time a Spanish artist performed at the gala, in addition to being the first Spanish woman in history to be nominated for Best New Artist. I swear that I swear. When the COVID-19 lockdown arrived, Rosalia was in Miami. During that time, she would release Dolermit, as well as her long-awaited collaboration with our Motomami. The risk? A way of life. It was 2020. The Catalan artist was already on everyone's lips. What other collaboration could she do to increase her global standing in music? There were only 2 possible names that year, The Weeknd and Bad Bunny. Rosalia went for both. La Noche de Anoche, together with the Bad Bunny, was released as a Valentine's Day single, debuting at #2 on the global Spotify chart. Almost 7 million streams in a single day, marking the biggest debut for a song entirely in Spanish in history.
Porque la noche fue algo que yo no puedo explicar.
1 week later, her remix of Blinding Lights with The Weeknd would be released. But she still had one collaboration left. The other global female icon of the 2020s, Billie Eilish.
Rosalia! Oh, God, I love Rosalia.
Lo Vas a Olvidar appeared in a special episode of Euphoria. Later, she would also collaborate with O'Neill Trick's Point Never on Nothing Special. And Tokisha on Linda.
Llegué tarde a la cita, estaba con la Rosalía. Las amigas que se besan son la mejor compañía.
Hoy estoy a fuego, estoy chucky. Dulces deliciosas como una cookie.
Chucky. That is a word a friend from the Dominican Republic taught me. When you feel like you have a lot of energy, like on fire. 3 years had passed since El Mal Querer. That was the time Rosalia spent in a studio in Miami, far from her family, trapped by the pandemic. Social media was on fire. Where's Rosalia? Has she forgotten about us? But she was mutating. She was leaving behind the image of the flamenco virgin to become something more aggressive, more free. I understand that my music, it won't always please everyone, right? I always believe there will be people who connect with it and people who don't, because above all, I take risks. Motomami was an exercise in brutal honesty. She was tired of being put on a glass pedestal. She wanted to be Moto, the aggression of machines, but also Mami, the vulnerability of nature. She wanted to use words like saoko, hentai, bizcochito.
Me dispongo a hacer una lectura de la letra.
I am about to read the lyric.
Te quiero, Rauw.
I want to ride you like my bike. Make me a tape, spike mode.
So good. Good. Un caro como que tiene
a car that has a diamond on the tip.
Ya te quiero hacer hentai.
I want to do hentai with you. The first single released in 2021 would be her second collaboration with The Weeknd, the Bachata La Fama, a great commercial success.
Es mal amante la fama y no va a quererte de verdad.
Rosalia knew many people wouldn't like it, that they'd say it was TikTok music, but she didn't care. Art that doesn't take risks is just decoration. Her second single, Saoko, proves this, with production that is pure mastery.
¿Cómo hice el beat de Saoko?
How did I make the beat for Saoko?
Saoko, papi, Saoko. Saoko, papi, Saoko. Ta. Cuando pones perlas en el collar. Cuando pones perlas en el collar. Que te vean diferentes, ya no son. Chica, ¿qué dices? Saoko, papi, Saoko. Me gustaba la idea de empezar una canción diciendo, a ver, ¿qué estás diciendo? Y decir algo que es un clásico, ¿sabes? Homenaje al reggaetón y como setear el mood desde el principio. Saoko es una palabra de origen africano que de hecho tiene un significado súper bonito. Significa energía, movimiento, sauce. Y dije, es que tiene que llamarse así la canción.
Rosalia played with words, with their meaning, reinventing what a mainstream artist means. For you, nothing. As if to say for you, nothing. Just chicken teriyaki.
Patinaki, chicken teriyaki, tu gata quiere maki, mi gata en Kawasaki.
When the song Hentai came out in 2022, the controversy was national. Lyrics that spoke of explicit sexuality with a Disney melody.
Tenía la intención de hacer una canción que fuera un vibe así como Disney casi, ¿no? Una música que te recordara un poco una balada de Disney, pero a la vez con una letra súper explícita y de contenido sexual. Quiero ride con mami, bye. Hazme un tape, modo spy.
Motomami was a 3-year journey of solitude. In the middle of the process, she received an audio from her grandmother that she would include in the track G3 and 50.
Good morning, my love. I like to think about difficult moments. It always helps a lot to have a reference to God. Family always comes first. No, first I would say that God always comes first and then family. Family is so important, honey. Family is always important. You are on a path that is a bit complicated. When I look at it, I think how complicated the world you have gotten into is, Rosalia. But well, if you are happy, I am happy too.
Rosalia went crazy with the production. She changed the drum machine 1,000 times. She wanted every sound to be perfect. Cute was one of its greatest examples. I wanted to make a song with that beat, which is by a girl named Tatiana, that has a sample of Soy Tiat. Who is this guy? He sings numbers. He sings whatever comes to mind. He just sings it.
Motomami from Rosalia.
I sampled an Instagram video.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Since this song was made in 2021, I said, I'll stop at 21. And then I start repeating the 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Might seem otherwise. Motomami was pure minimalism. Most of the tracks are just Rosalia's voice and one instrument. Even though the album received universal praise from music critics, there were also voices against it. Rosalia took it with a lot of humor. I'm more into Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd is better. When they sing a cappella, they can't sing, but they use that auto-tune, and of course, it sounds like they can sing. Do kids like that style of music today? Yes, yes, but only for the rhythm, nothing else. All for the rhythm, huh? And these nails this girl's wearing? What do you think about this? Like a witch. Totally like a witch, huh? Oh, terrible, yes. I don't know where the aesthetic is, honestly. Me neither. I don't know where the aesthetic is either, you know, this style. We are losing everything. Motomami World Tour would be Rosalia's second world tour. A true visual revolution, a wide screen, 3 cameras in her, nothing else. She proved she didn't need fireworks to fill a stadium. It has been a huge sacrifice because I've missed out on many other moments. But now, when I hold the record in my hand and listen to it from start to finish, I say, all of this has made sense, and I feel fulfilled as a musician. During the tour, she debuted an unreleased song that would become her most streamed track on Spotify, Despechada. Rosalia would do 3 new collaborations, with Romeo Santos on El Pañuelo, with Niño de Elche on Seguiria, and with Wisin and Yandel on Besos Mojados. At the 23rd Annual Latin Grammy Awards, Motomami won all 4 categories in which it was nominated, including Album of the Year.
And the Latin Grammy goes to Rosalia, Motomami.
Thank you so much, thank you so much. He loves me not. Does he love me? Rosalia has always had a very close relationship with fashion. Since she was little, she would cut out outfits from magazines like Elle and Vogue and make collages with her sister to cover her folders.
Hello. Hola, Vogue. La Pili aquí, ella es la que recortaba y hacía collages y yo aprendí de ella.
Nos forrábamos las carpetas.
Nos forramos las carpetas, las muestras que venían en Vogue, que si era un perfume, una crema, bueno, la guardamos como era un paño.
During these years, her personal life hit the headlines uncontrollably. She had met a reggaeton star at the Latin Grammys in Las Vegas. At first, Rosalia thought he was a womanizer, but it turned out he wasn't. Her relationship with a Puerto Rican artist became the love story of the decade. We are talking about Rauw Alejandro.
Aquí Rauw Alejandro.
¿Y Rosalía? ¿Dónde y cuándo nos dimos nuestro primer beso?
Madrid, 2019, diciembre, antes de Nochebuena, creo.
Antes de Nochebuena.
23. Tenía un traje negro. Yo bebí whisky y tú bebiste agua. El querido suegro. Saludo al suegro.
It was a very beautiful time. For the first time, she felt that someone understood her pace of life.
¿Tú sabes qué te hace reír a ti un montón? Cuando te empujo a la cama, cuando te vas a ir y te empujo a la cama y te pongo como en una prisión.
Sí, a ti eso también.
As it could not be any other way, they would record an EP of 3 songs called RR, Rosalia and Rauw. It was their gift to the world. Rauw dedicated the song Aquel Nap to Rosalia.
Yo te he escrito muchas canciones. ¿Cuál es la más deep?
Baby, Aquel Nap, full.
Aquel Nap.
Evidentemente, Aquel Nap.
No quiero a nadie más. A nadie más.
They even got engaged.
Nos comprometimos de la manera, yo creo, más bonita que me puedo haber imaginado. Fue en la casa. Y entonces empezaron a haber fuegos artificiales, se veía todo Puerto Rico y yo no me lo esperaba. Y tú me dijiste, ven, te quiero enseñar un sitio, te quiero llevar a un sitio. Me dijiste, te quiero llevar a un sitio, te lo quiero enseñar. Y te seguí yo pensando de lo más inocente, venga, vamos, tal. Y de golpe empezaste a buscar algo y yo pensaba, ¿qué le pasa? Y como que no lo sacabas.
Se me quedó encajado.
Como que estabas así,
Se me quedó trancado la...
Y yo pensaba, ¿qué está buscando? Y te arrodillaste, creo. Estaba nerviosa, entonces tampoco me acuerdo de todos los detalles, pero te arrodillaste, creo.
Me arrodillé.
Y entonces, como estaba arrodillado buscando algo en el bolsillo, yo pensaba, ¿por qué él está haciendo eso? No me lo puedo creer, ¿no será que él me va a dar un anillo? Y entonces tú me diste un anillo. y entonces yo me puse a llorar.
But fame is a double-edged sword. Rosalia and Rauw Alejandro ended their engagement by mutual agreement due to the intense pressure of their careers, differences in their life visions, and the strain of living together. Although strong rumors of infidelity initially emerged, both artists flatly denied these versions. When everything ended in 2023, the fall was very hard. Suddenly, Rosalia's personal pain was public property. The theories, the rumors. Rosalia felt she needed to disappear again, but this time not to find a sound, but to save herself. I feel like I still can't believe this is happening. I'm still kind of in shock. At the beginning of 2023, Rosalia would collaborate with Coca-Cola to create a limited edition flavor under their Coca-Cola Creations brand. She called it Move. She would release the track Loom to promote it. On April 28, 2023, Rosalia closed her festival tour across the Americas with a free concert at the Zocalo in Mexico City. 160,000 people attended, the largest concert of her entire career. Did you know that Rosalia travels everywhere with her planner? In it, she writes down everything she has to do, her schedule. Mind you, her tool for composing 24/7 is her phone.
Yo no puedo estar sin una agenda física. Tengo como que la obsesión de tacharlo todo. Si no lo he tachado mucho, es como que no lo he hecho. El jueves pasa esto, el viernes tengo que hacer lo otro. Porque los horarios suelen ser una locura y así lo veo más claro. Componer lo hago más en las notas del iPhone. Me paso el día trabajando con el móvil, es mi herramienta de trabajo. En realidad tengo todo aquí.
Let there be Lux. After the breakup and the end of the tour, Rosalia disappeared. Do you know where she hid? In Japan. She was seen walking alone through the streets of Kyoto, visiting temples, listening to the silence once again. To say you want to eat Doritos.
Doritos o tabetai.
Doritos tabetai. Ya, Naruto mini kyo.
Since only one nail drives out another, at the end of 2023, Rosalia would begin a romantic relationship with American actor Jeremy Allen White. It would not last long. At the end of 2024, Rosalia would press the reset button, releasing a track about falling in love again with Rauw Omega. Rosalia would end her journey through Japan by returning to Spain, to the Pyrenees, to a stone house where the only sound was the wind. From that isolation, Lux was born, her fourth studio album released at the end of 2025. I always believed that one must be in constant motion. Lux is the light that remains when all the spotlights go out. It is an album about reconstruction. If Mal Querer was confinement and Motomami was chaos, Lux is absolute freedom. 15 songs that took nearly 3 years of her life.
Soy la primera en llegar siempre, la última en irme.
She would present it at a spectacular listening party in Barcelona. It has been something historic that you will always remember. Absolutely in shock, I mean, so emotional. Well, I don't know. Wow, a masterpiece. An album that will go down in history without a doubt. An incredible thing. It brings tears to your eyes when you finish. Are you ready to embark on this sonic journey? This is Lux like you have never seen it before. If Motomami was pure minimalism, Lux is the opposite. Maximalism and brutalism. It is a concept album structured in movements where she fuses her own life with a deep study of saints, philosophers, Sufi mystics, and women poets who disobeyed the norms of their time. Rosalia would dedicate an entire year to writing the album's lyrics. So I started to do a lot of reading of different poets from different parts of the world who have really been the inspiration for the project as well. I have spent a year just reading and writing only for the lyrics, dedicated solely to this. There is not a single loop in the album. Everything is played and sung to enjoy the process. Each song is a story told with emotion from beginning to end. While composing Lux, Rosalia had one single idea in her head, not giving a damn. Write, draw the bow, and tell the truth. She wanted something deep, something that wouldn't feed dopamine like social media does, which she has been avoiding for a while now.
Lux es una experiencia sensorial. Se debe escuchar todo seguido, concentrado, con la luz baja y el volumen alto.
It all starts with movement 1, the earthly and the collapse. Sex, violence, and tires mixes engine noises with almost celestial arrangement. This first track condenses the album's thesis, the duality between the divine and the carnal, a song of religious inspiration that makes heaven collide with the asphalt. There has been a lot of inspiration in texts, religious, in the Bible, the Quran, the Vedas, and so on. Saint Rose of Lima was a poet, and apparently, well, her relics are all around the world. So I found this idea very interesting, right? That you can leave your remains, parts of yourself, scattered around. In Reliquia, Rosalia tells us where her little pieces are. The story is half true, half invented. The mix of sacred choir and ghostly tone will blow your mind. Divinize is the desire to approach something spiritual and higher, to find a purpose after having hit rock bottom. Porcelana is inspired by the so-called Queen of Chaos, a Japanese Buddhist nun and poet named Ryonin Genzo, who, upon being rejected from a monastery for her beauty, burned her own face to disfigure herself and be admitted. The male voice of Dookie F represents the voice of God, or a higher power, which contrasts with the fragility that the word porcelain evokes. The song's rhythm is based on the amapiano beat, a South African electronic music subgenre that Rosalia blends with timbales. A fan favorite is Mio Cristo Piangi Diamante, My Christ Cries Diamonds. Rosalia took a whole year to complete the song. She was inspired by the bond between man and woman, by that inspiration from Saint Clare of Assisi, Saint Francis of Assisi, who were apparently such good friends. It is also Rosalia's grandmother's favorite song. Maybe it is because of the change in style. Here begins the second movement of Lux, the border and the darkness. But before we continue with the songs, do you remember this? On October 13, 2025, Rosalia changed the rules of the game once again. Instead of releasing a single to introduce the album, she shared a musical score on social media, leaving everyone wondering what it was. A music marketing strategy never seen before. The song, of course, was Bergen, the first time Rosalia wrote a classical music aria. The artist commented that since she did not know the technique and structure of an aria, she spent a year studying it. One day, while improvising on the piano in Miami, she found the hook that would become the seed of Bergen. The name Bergen refers to an exclusive and legendary techno club in Berlin, but it also means grove, the dark forest of the psyche, the frontier of consciousness where dark desires, hedonism, and the fear of the unknown dwell. Having Björk and Yves Tumor on the same track was a dream for Rosalia. Hildegard von Bingen was a polymath nun who had visions. There is also inspiration from Vimala, an Indian poet nun who worked as a prostitute. La Perla fuses Rosalia's incredible voice with the regional and melancholic touch of Fiorizza and her essence. There are times when it is hard to tell their voices apart, right? A song of reproach that feels painful and cutting against their exes. After the purge of La Perla, Mundo Nuevo is that brief transition that represents relief, waking up in a clean place, the end of a stormy era, and the acceptance that one must look ahead. Rosalia had kept the little gem in a drawer for years. She would get together with her producer and friend El Guincho, also asking for help from the great Pharrell Williams. You know, the one from... Inspired by Saint Olga of Kiev, a ruler who ordered the killing of many men, the Madrigal is an introspective look at those thoughts that only assault us at 4 in the morning, when the mind no longer has filters, and the line between genius and madness is very thin. Moving on to the third movement, radical mysticism. So radical that even the title of the next song is a provocation. God is a stalker. Clearly, I am chasing God, but in the track, I put it in the first person of God, yes, which is an absurdity. The track is full of lyrical references inspired by biblical psalms, the letters of St. Paul, and the words of Jesus. One of my weaknesses, and one of the jewels in the crown of Lux, is La Yucadar, where Rosalia immerses herself in Arab and Islamic mysticism. When you see me singing in Arabic, it is inspired by this figure, Rabia al-Adawiyya. She is a woman who was a Sufi, from the most mystical branch of Islam. Rabia said that one had to love God for himself, not out of fear or for reward. Rosalia uses the Islamic concept that everything is connected for the wonderful comparisons of the big and the small that happen at the end of the track. The micro and the macro, the universal, the personal. I think contrast is very important to me when making music. How did Rosalia do the parts of the song sung in other languages? The composition always started in Spanish. Then, with Google Translator, she would do a quick translation that she confirmed with professional translators. Rosalia spent a whole year lying in bed writing. And the truth is, the Catalan artist can only write like that, lying down. I think my best lyrics come to me when I'm lying down. As you can imagine, recording in 14 languages was not simple. To be able to pronounce each language correctly, I would record parts, send them to native speakers of that language. They would correct my pronunciation, and I would record again. But how did Rosalia decide which language to sing in for each song? The decision is based on the country of origin of the story or the saint that inspires each of the tracks. When I am singing in French, in Jeanne, there is inspiration from Joan of Arc. When I am singing in Mandarin Chinese, there is inspiration from Sun Bu. When I am singing in Hebrew, there is inspiration from Miriam. Singing in Ukrainian is for Saint Olga of Kiev. As part of the physical version, and also the extended deluxe version, we find Fokurani, a term that in Sicilian means big fire. It is popularly used to describe a chaotic, burning, or extremely complicated situation. The song is inspired by Saint Rosalia of Palermo, who decided not to marry in order to dedicate her life to God. How do you pronounce this? And they told me, hey, did you know that Sauvignon Blanc is pronounced Sauvignon Blanc, not Sauvignon Blanc? And I said, well, no, my dear, I did not know that, and thank you very much. Because are we going to have to re-record this song? Oh yes, we are going to have to re-record it, and we will re-record it. The song is a tribute to everyday things. It uses the metaphor of wine intoxication to speak of spiritual ecstasy, a device widely used by mystic poets like Saint John of the Cross or the Sufis themselves. The inspiration from, like Saint Teresa of Jesus, she said that perhaps material things are not that important and she let them go. Without a doubt, it is the Rosalia song for weddings. As in all the songs, Jan is a reference to another strong woman, Joan of Arc, the heroine who disobeyed the political and religious mandates of her time, ending at the stake. We reach the fourth and final movement, Absolution and Memory. It starts with another track that Rosalia only included on the physical version of Lux, Robot Girlfriend. It speaks to us about the automation of feelings, of how society or fame demand that women function perfectly, without complaining, like an android programmed to please. Rosalia finds it very hard to forgive. Do you know how to forgive? I find it very hard. It takes me years. It is something I am truly working on and trying to learn to let go. The rumba of forgiveness develops the concept of the search for redemption, the spirit of Estrella Morente, and the delicacy of Silvia Perez Cruz turned this experimental rumba into one of the richest and most solemn folk compositions of the decade. The great Portuguese fado singer Carminho wrote a song called Memoria, for which she thought Rosalia's voice would be a perfect fit. She was right. In Memoria, Rosalia and Carminho bare their voices to fill us with emotion in a song that speaks of accepting the mosaic of life, cracks and all. Like everything in life, Lux has an end. And what an end. Magnolias. Does that scare you? No, I think I'm more afraid of life. Living it in fear. The magnolia is a flower that symbolizes dignity, purity, and perseverance. Inspired by the funeral of Anandamaima, whose body was covered in flowers, Rosalia tells us she doesn't want anyone to cry when she dies. She wants her funeral to be a party. It is always better to sing, even if it is with sorrow. Lux has such a level of intensity that Rosalia herself says she does not know if she will be able to create something like it again. It is undoubtedly a masterpiece and, in my opinion, the Spanish thriller. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. After Lux, Rosalia will go on a world tour in 2026 to present Lux. Concerts that feel like movies due to their polished production, designed to be enjoyed especially from screens, from dancing on Puente to a rave or portraying herself as Goya or Da Vinci art. She even has a confessional with her friends where they share their love secrets, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, art in motion. Rosalia had conquered the whole world, or almost. She was missing Asia. She would launch there, starting with a collaboration with a great local star Lisa. The track was called New Woman. Rosalia became a global ambassador for Dior. Personally, Rosalia would begin a relationship with French model Loli Bahia. Rosalia would participate as an actress in the 3rd season of Euphoria, an acclaimed American Netflix series.
Bueno, pero es que tengo que llevarlo. You understand? ¿Y si me mandan un detective privado, qué hago? ¿Eh?
Who are you talking to? I don't speak Spanish.
Billboard Music magazine would recognize Rosalia as Woman of the Year at the 2026 Latin Women in Music ceremony. Rosalia is no longer just an artist. She is a global brand that makes millions. But unlike other stars, she controls every detail. She is the CEO of her own vision. From contracts with luxury brands like Dior and Nike, to the executive production of her videos. She learned from her mother, if you don't keep the books, someone else will keep them for you. Rosalia doesn't just sing, she chooses every frequency, every camera angle, every fabric of her wardrobe. That is being a Motomami, having control. Time, the future, the uncertain, these are things that usually worry me. But when I sing or perform, I have the feeling that something stops, that I anchor myself somewhere and that gives me peace.
Yo me lloro cantando, a veces me lloro por dentro y no sé por qué, y no podría llorar así hablando, solo lo consigo cantando. Eso me pasa, y no sé por qué.
I always put a lot of care, a lot of heart into my work, and I dedicate my whole life to music. I don't know what Rosalia will do next. Maybe music for film, or a full classical album. Maybe she'll disappear for several years. What I am sure of is that whatever it is, she will do it with a lot of love. Because without love, art is just noise.
Todo el tiempo para mí lo importante es experimentar con la música, seguir creciendo como músico. Yo quiero ir hacia algo que no haya encontrado aún. Estoy dejándome todo lo que tengo, lo estoy poniendo aquí.
Thanks for joining me on this journey through the life and music of Rosalia. If you liked the video, smash that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what your favorite song from LUX is. See you in the next video. See you later, Trembols. Thank you very much, and until next time, Trembol, we love you.